Welcome back. Let's do another vibe coding exercise here on day 2 of 100 days of vibe coding games. I already asked Claude 3.7 Sonnet here in GitHub Copilot for some simple JavaScript game ideas. In the first video, we did, rock, paper, scissors. And now I think we'll go with its first suggestion here in this list, which is the number guessing game. So I'm going to switch from ask mode to agent mode. I'm going to say go ahead and build the number guessing game. And I'll say this time we'll include making the readme right in this first prompt here. Make sure you create a readme as well. Let's see what else. We will also implement version control using Git and GitHub. And something different that I didn't include last time is a statement of work. This is something that's typically more appropriate for larger projects, but it's good to get in the habit of having something like this in place. Especially when you're doing vibe coding, you can kind of, sometimes it will feel like the coding agent starts to get off track or starts to make things that weren't originally part of the plan or do things in ways that weren't originally intended. If you have a statement of work in place, you can kind of tell it to reference the statement of work when it goes to implement something. Also create a statement of work. Let's see what happens. All right. It's going to go ahead and build the number guessing game. It's going to make the structure first, which is good. Yep. So again, this is going to be in JavaScript, just like we did the rock, paper, scissors. I already specified JavaScript when I first asked it for game ideas. If I scroll up, right, give me a few simple game ideas for JavaScript. So each of these for the 100 days, pretty sure I'm going to stick with JavaScript. So each of them are basically going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I like the idea that it's kind of building out the game first, and then it's going to sort of retroactively make a README and statement of work. I mean, the README would come afterwards anyways. Statement of work you usually have first. So a statement of work, it kind of gives the specifications for what needs to be built, what the features are, what's currently planned to be implemented, what additional things could be implemented in the future, and so on. Another good idea is you can ask the agent to create, you can ask the agent for ideas to improve or enhance the experience of the game. And then it'll give you some ideas, and then you can ask it to either implement some of those or draw up additional statements of work for those plans. And then you could say, okay, based off of this statement of work that you created, please start adding this new feature or whatever. Now it wants to set up a Git repository here, just like we did in our first day. Right, yep, it's going to do the initial commit here. It's telling us that it kind of built everything here, blah, blah, blah. Actually, let's go ahead and test the code. We're going to say keep everything that's there. And I'm going to ask it before pushing to GitHub, how can I go about testing this? Let me just scroll up. It says to test the game, simply open index.html in your browser. I'm going to go ahead and ask it this anyways to see if it gives any other ideas. Because last time, if you remember, it did this. Yep. Oh, actually, this is a little bit different. So last time, it gave me a command just for opening it up in the terminal, opening it up in the browser from the terminal. This time, it's actually setting up a Python server. Watch what happens here. There's most likely going to be an error because I'm supposed to have Python 3 in this command. It doesn't know that, but let's see. See over here, Python 3 not found. Now it might automatically fix the prompt for us, or it might think that it's already, yeah. This is a good practice though. So I'm going to say, actually, the server isn't up and running because my environment requires that I use the Python 3 command rather than Python. Let's see. Again, I could be doing this a lot quicker just by going in and fixing it automatically, blah, blah, blah. It's going to want to kill this even though there's not even anything running right now because the command failed, but that's okay. Now it's going to use the Python 3 command. Now it's actually up and running, which is good. And then it'll give us most likely a link that we can click on to, yep, open it in this tab over here, or new tab over here. There we go, number guessing game. Let's just see if it actually works. Number between 1 and 100, let's put in 50. Too high, try a lower number, try 25. Too low, try a higher number. Let's try 35. Too high, let's try 30. Too low, let's try 32. Too low, 33. There we go. Guess the right number. We're going to go ahead and at this point push it right to GitHub. First, I have to set up a GitHub repository for this, and then do these commands that it listed up above. We'll get back to that, but let's go right to GitHub. All right, let's make a new repository. Let's just call it day 2. Let's say day 2 of 100 days of VibeCoding games with JavaScript and GitHub Copilot. Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Click create repository, and then we want to copy that. Over here, we're going to scroll back up to the git commands it was giving us. Where'd it go? There we go. We got some other terminals open here. We'll say git remote add origin. Paste. I think that's the way it's going to want it, right? Yep. And we can just hit enter on that. Git branch -m main. Git push u origin main. Okay. Good, good. Now we can refresh this over here. And voila, we have our number guessing game readme, which is from, right? I already asked it to make that before. Tells us the little project structure, how to play it, blah, blah, blah. Now, we have this basic version of the game up and running. We have it actually running in a server here. And keep that running like that. Now, it's been not very long that we've been making this, right? So let's go ahead and spend a little more time on this. And one of the enhancements that we made to the rock, paper, scissors was some confetti. We'll do that. Please add a confetti particle effect when a user wins. So it's thinking about it. While it's working on that, let's think of some other enhancements we could make. So right now it's going to work on adding some kind of confetti particle effect when a user wins. It's already saving the previous guesses down here. We've got attempts 6, best score 6, so that's cool. It's going to kind of keep track of that. We've got a new game button. One other thing, so we could ask it to save the highest scores locally, like in the browser here, and also ask it to allow someone to enter in a name. Right, so they could enter in their name, and then they make their guesses, and their best score. Maybe on the screen we should also have like an overall best score thing here, a user's best score, the user's attempts, stuff like that. So we'll think about this. See, so they made a new file for the confetti effect, which is good. Because now if we want to customize the way that the confetti stuff is happening, we can just go modify the confetti.js and not worry about having to make changes kind of all over the place necessarily. When it's done with this, we're going to test it. And in fact, probably before we get to saving stuff locally and doing like a, overall best score, leaderboard, having a leaderboard, that's what I was thinking of. Before we get to that, after this is confirmed to be working, we'll ask it to add some logging to the program. So, and then we'll open up the inspector over on the side here so we can see what's going on in the console. It's just good habits to have, especially once you get to more complicated, complex programs. Right, for this, it's not going to be so much a big deal, but it's still a good practice to continue with. Oh, good, it's also updating the README to include the new confetti feature. And when we get around to having it build a leaderboard sort of thing, I'm going to actually keep the instruction pretty vague and minimal and see what it ends up coming up with. That can be pretty fun, especially when you don't have really something specific that you're married to, like some specific idea. All right, so we can refresh the browser now. Try out the game again. Guess 50. Too low, try higher number, 75. Let's try 85. Let's try 90. 95, 94, not seeing any confetti. So let's see, let's open up the inspector, console. Okay, nothing bad happening there, but let's tell it here, before we're not going to click keep, right, because it didn't work. So we're going to say, I just won after refreshing the page, and I still don't see confetti happening. Let's see what it says. All right. This is one of the reasons why even in these kind of just small game exercises, one game a day thing, I kind of want to add little bits here and there to see if things like this happen, because it's not all smooth sailing with VibeCoding, right? There's many hiccups still. Some of them may be specific to GitHub Copilot, and within GitHub Copilot may be specific to this whatever agent you're using, but it's good to see what it's like running into these potential issues and go from there. Now, what could have helped is if from the beginning I asked it to make sure it uses plenty of logging from the beginning, because then if we open this up right in the console after this failed, we might have already seen what the issue was. So let's go refresh. Let's try it again. 50 too high, 25 too low, 40 too high, 35 too high, 30 too high, 26, 27, 28, 29. There's the confetti. So it's working now. Good, good, good. So we'll click keep. Before we do anything else, because this is working nicely, we like the way that it's working, we will go ahead and push these updates to GitHub. So we'll just say added confetti feature, commit, sync changes. Okay, good. Now, please add thorough logging throughout. We'll go over here while it's working on that. We'll come back over to the page. We're going to see the updated README, hopefully. Let's look for, there it is. Celebratory confetti animation when winning. So that's been updated there. All right, and over here in GitHub, you also see where it mentions the things that have been impacted by the update that we pushed. So it's telling us it's going to add thorough logging throughout the code to help with debugging and monitoring the application flow. Good, good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the statement of work. See what it looks like here. Features, future considerations. Okay, so this is something that we might want to look at. I should have increased the size of this over here. Sorry, guys. All right. Future considerations: difficulty levels, time-based scoring, sound effects and animations, multiplayer functionality. We're gonna skip those, I think. Difficulty levels doesn't quite make sense, although I might ask it what it means by that. Multiplayer is kind of silly too. Sound effects and animations. I mean, we did add an animation. We added the confetti particles, right? I like the idea of a leaderboard more, though. So that's what I'm going to ask after this. And I'm specifically going to ask it to implement it using local storage in the browser. Right, because then I should be able to, refresh the page and still see the leaderboard, or even, close the page, open it back up, still see the leaderboard. I don't want it to all be tied to just one game session. Right. So you'll see, right, that adding thorough logging, it's going to add a lot of lines of code, which, sometimes you have robust logging when you're developing something, and then once you're pushing something out into production, you weed out a lot of that logging, but you're still going to leave some logging whether it's, to the console log in a JavaScript game or to some log file that, if there's an error, then you submit the error report, the log file might get attached to it, something like that. So logging isn't just for the development phase, it's also for future robustness. Now, what I'm going to do is refresh this and just play the game again. See, it's already got a lot of debug stuff. Let's see if I can... so that doesn't actually zoom in on the console settings. Tab size, key bindings. Doesn't that let you increase the font size in the console? Maybe not, which is a bummer. But this is probably going to be fairly useless for you guys to see. All right, it's got it in 5 attempts. But there's all these lines down here, all this stuff down on the console. It's just telling me about what's being processed within the game at that given time. And when you run into issues, these sorts of things are very handy to have, right? Because then you can kind of trace down where the issue is happening. We're going to go ahead and click keep. And we're going to go ahead and say, we're going to commit this over, push this up to GitHub and say added thorough logging. Commit, sync. All right, so the game's still working. Sometimes when you ask Copilot to do something very simple and like logging, it can make a simple syntax error which actually breaks the project that you're working on, and then you have to figure out the issue. But this worked right away, which was great. Now, we're going to say, this will be the last thing that we do here, right? Is please implement some sort of leaderboard. Users should... You know what? We'll leave it at that. We're not going to get too specific with it. Please implement some sort of leaderboard. I'm not going to mention local storage specifically, but I imagine it's going to suggest something like that. If it doesn't, like if it just kind of keeps it just for the one session, then I'm going to do one more thing and ask it to implement the storage of the leaderboard in local storage so that it's kind of persistent across sessions. And I'll also specify if this doesn't have us enter a username, or if it doesn't generate, let's say, automatically some sort of random username, then we're going to ask it to do something like that as well. But it looks like it's going to... It's usually pretty smart with stuff like this. It'll even think of things that maybe you didn't think of, right? That's what's fun about keeping the instructions sort of vague, is it gives it room to get creative. Oh, look at this. So we can already see it's got a player name that it's adding. It's going to be in a modal, which is like a pop-up. So that's interesting. The leaderboard container. It's got player, rank, attempts, date. Yeah, so it's getting way more thorough than I was thinking. I was just thinking player name and score. That's all I was thinking. But it's being much more thorough, which is great. We'll go ahead and head over to the repo just to see that those newest changes are in there. Let's see if it mentions, doesn't mention the logging necessarily. And Also, GitHub projects that you often should associate some kind of license with it. It assumed I'm going to go with an MIT license. That's fine. If you want to look that up, feel free, of course. It doesn't say anything about Oh, so the best score, that's interesting. I didn't know that. The best score is already being, like for the individual user, is already being stored using local storage. I didn't even ask it to do that before, so that's great. But you can see where certain files have been edited to reflect the fact that there's thorough logging now throughout. So confetti.js, script.js, those two files are the ones where all the processing is happening anyway, so that's why the logging would go there. All right, so it's saying that the logging enhancement is finished. Let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, so we got a little leaderboard down here. You click on this. No scores entered yet. So it's not asking us for a name yet, but I guess it asks you for it when you finish playing. So too low, too high, too low, too high, too high. Okay, guess the right number. Now it's asking us for a name. Christian Golden. Save score, and look at that. All right. Oh, look at this. This is interesting, though. So there's something buggy happening. So we'll fix this up, and that will be the end of that, really. What if I refresh the page? I'm curious. It does still show our thing there, which is great. And then we can play, but watch, right? So this, I don't like the fact that, oops. Okay. Let's say Bob. I don't like the fact that you can't immediately go right back to guessing, although that's what the new game button is for. Okay, never mind. That's what the new game button is for. It's just a UI choice. Not a huge fan of it, but it's not anything that's broken about it. I thought it was broken for a second there. So what did we do today, right? This is day 2 of VibeCoding some games in JavaScript using GitHub Copilot, using Claude 3.7 Sonnet in agent mode. We made a number guessing game, very simple. We added some fanciness to it with the particle effects, leaderboard, local storage, and we did some troubleshooting here and there when things didn't work quite right. Initially, the particle effects didn't work, so we helped GitHub Copilot kind of get that back on track really quickly. And we made sure we had everything synced up with GitHub. And let's go ahead and actually, we'll keep this and we'll say added leaderboard. And now it's all synced over to GitHub. Again, just like with the first day, please feel free to clone this repository, make some changes, comment on the video, any sort of ideas you might have, anything you might want to see in the future, all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for watching. And if you're enjoying this, stick around for the next day, day 3 of our 100 days of VibeCoding. Until then, happy coding.